When I was in Israel, I asked one of our guides, I said, what do all these Orthodox Jewish people, what all do they think about Jesus today? He said, well, they just think Jesus was a great rabbi, got kind of crazy when he started talking about, I'm God. So the Romans just killed him like they killed thousands of others. He said, but who they really have the problem with is Paul. Because when Paul started talking about him, the Jewish people had all kinds of issues. Because, and I believe Paul wrote Hebrews, we ain't going to debate that. The author of the book of Hebrews. When the author of the book of Hebrews started talking about Jesus, if you were resting in your own works, if you were full of your own righteousness, if you were pious and religious and glad that you were doing everything just right, you want to stay away from the book of Hebrews. As a matter of fact, you want to stay away from the book of Hebrews. You want to stay away from the book of Galatians. You want to stay away from the book of Romans. Matter of fact, you just probably put the whole New Testament down. Because when he got ready to write the book of Hebrews, this is what he said. Everything that you are doing is great, but Jesus is better. Under the law, all of the rules and rituals that you've been living by, that was great, that was good, that was fine, that was necessary, that was even God. But when Jesus showed up on the scene, Jesus is better. Paul starts talking about in the first miracle that Moses ever performed under the law, he turned water into blood, resulting in death. The first miracle Jesus ever performed under grace, he turned water into wine, resulting in life. Because Jesus is always better. Under the Old Testament, when they went to Sinai on the first Pentecost, 3,000 people died at the foot of Sinai on the first Pentecost. But under grace, on the first Pentecost, 3,000 people were made alive. Because Jesus is always better. Under the old covenant, God told Moses, take the shoes off your feet because the place where you are standing is holy. But under the new covenant, the prodigal father said, here, put these shoes on your feet because now you are worthy to stand in my presence because Jesus is better. Can I talk about Jesus just a little while? In the old covenant, the Bible said that the priest had to stand daily. The Bible said the priest had to stand daily, ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices that could never take away sins. He had to stand in the tabernacle. It is important to understand that he had to stand in the tabernacle, offering oftentimes the same sacrifices that could never take away sins. But the next verse said, when this man offered one sacrifice, he sat down.